Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
I have to say they're never the easiest, but they are, it is what it is. So welcome. It's good to see some names that I recognize. Always fun to have you here. This topic, I was joking with Jeremiah behind the scenes while we were waiting to start the event, just saying this topic has really had me thinking since I was asked to do it. I was asked to do it, 8 weeks ago, and up until 3 o'clock this morning, I still tweak notes and still adding things to the notes and changing the notes and reflecting on the notes. And I think I've got good reflection on ethics, trying to put these sessions together. So I'm going to invite you as the audience to please participate in today's session. Please add your thoughts, add your feelings. I think this is it's a dynamic and evolving topic. This is the first time I'm actually presenting on this in this particular format, although some of the content is familiar. But with this sort of as a thread that goes through it, and it really made me stop and think, because we're quite used to looking at ethics as an ethics to a large degree, but we're used to looking at ethics from a personal ethics. I've always taught of, I've got a couple of people I see on the line that have been to sessions of mine before, and right back, 10 plus years ago, since I started teaching ethics or presenting and discussing ethics, I've always said that you cannot even enter the code until you reflect on your personal ethics. From your personal ethics, we're all in business, so we need to look at our business ethics. Professional ethics is something that it's been drilled into us since we were at varsity, since we were studying, as to what our code of ethics are. Although, to me, it's always been a challenge in the way it's been presented and the way it's worked. And I'm very excited to see this year that there is a shift back to sort of my belief in ethics, and that you've got to look at where you're grounded and where you're coming from. And to see where ethics come from. You can't stop, you can't look at the tail, you've got to look at the whole animal. And so we look at the code, and then this is sort of an evolution of this personal, business, and professional ethics to look at citizenship and to look at the role we play within the country, the role we play within the greater scheme, not just in the very narrow space that sometimes we place ourselves in. And when you start looking at this and you start thinking about the impact that we as professional accountants have, and the impact that our profession has, and then also the type of people that are in our profession and what impact we can have, it makes it a very interesting topic to talk about. And I'm really jonesing for a face-to-face. I'm wishing with everything in me that I was with you in person, so we could actually have a conversation on this. I'm very challenged as to how we're going to do this topic on a webinar basis, when I do believe it should be a conversation, because I think every person in the audience and every person that we sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about this is going to have different points of view and different thoughts. And I am absolutely intrigued and excited to hear what your thoughts are and what your perspectives are and where you are coming from. Because the other element of this, from when I was first asked to do this topic to now, is it's been a roller coaster road. When I was asked to do this topic, it was before the civil unrest. It was, so more than 2 months ago. And if you just take your own personal journey that you have had as a South African citizen, from February last year through to 20th of September today, we have definitely been sharpened and honed and evolved, and we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had celebrations, we've had tragedies, and our perspective on things has altered and changed. And that is the thing about ethics, and it's the thing about dealing with a topic that is not a textbook. When we talk about ethics and we talk about all of these things, we're not dealing with a textbook. We're not dealing with a piece of paper or a set of laws that are unchanging and unforgiving. We're dealing with people, and we're dealing with experiences, and we're dealing with attitudes, and we're dealing with emotions. We're dealing with belief systems. We're dealing with what we've been taught, what we expect. We're dealing with disillusionment. We're dealing with hope. And all of that makes this a very tricky topic. So I know that I'm in a certain space in my life at the moment, and I've got to make sure that I'm constantly aware of that bias. And that is something that I think this professional citizenship has definitely made me aware of in presenting and in talking to you. And I'm going to ask you as well, in your engagements that you have with people, be it with staff, be it with clients, be it with whoever you're dealing with, colleagues and peers, we've got to keep a very firm check of where we are personally in this journey and what our personal emotions and feelings are. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges. Many of you know that I've referred to it and spoken about it before in other sessions, that one of my best friends is a psychiatrist. And her and I, we go and do our 5-kilometer walks, and we have these conversations about all sorts of different things. And we often talk about, for example, the challenges between the medical space and the accounting space. And her comment to me has always been intriguing when I've discussed the code of conduct, and I've discussed our brand or our form of ethics with her. And she's always come back to me and said, objectivity is the hardest skill to practice and to learn and to exercise. And I raise this now, and I'm going to raise it again as we go through this, where we obviously are experiencing things in our personal lives. We're obviously experiencing things in our business. Our families are experiencing different things. We are seeing the country and experiencing the country in different ways. But at the same time, we've got to put on our professional cloak, our professional armor, and go out into the world and represent a profession in a way that also builds this country. And that means that if you've had a bad day, if you've had a bad experience, how do you exercise your objectivity with respect to that? The other side that I've been thinking about and reflecting quite a bit on is the professional reputation. As accountants, somebody was pointing out to me, one of my clients last week, that every profession has its moment in the spotlight, whether it's the medical profession, whether it's the legal profession, whether it's the engineers, whether it's the accounting profession. We all have moments. It's sort of like a bit of a roller coaster ride where we have our ups and our downs, and certain times certain professions are highlighted, and other times for good or for bad reasons. And we've definitely gone through a rocky stage of our profession not exactly being highlighted for the good. And we are in a bit of a process at the moment of rebuilding our reputation. Now, all of us know that your reputation is pretty sacred. Your reputation is something you spend a lifetime building, but you can lose in a minute. So we also have to look, when we think about being a professional citizen, and we look at being an accountant in the country, and we look at being a member of a bigger organization, being this fraternity or sorority or collective of accountants, what role are we playing in all of this? So the challenge I've had in pulling today's session together is I feel like I've got lots of strings that need to be tied together. I feel like I've got lots of different ideas in different places, which I'm hoping I've created some sort of structure to pull it together. For us to sit down and realize that this concept of professional citizenship actually is ripples in a pond. It is actually quite far reaching. And my approach to today's session is really to start with the individual. It's to start with each one of us and to think about where we are right now, and to think about what it means for us in our personal capacity to be a citizen of the country, then to move it into being, business citizenship, and then professional citizenship. And hopefully we will circle back and tie all these pieces together. So for those of you that have joined us later, thank you very much for the good mornings. I really do appreciate knowing that you are actually out there and that I'm not talking to myself. Any thoughts or comments? You are pretty anonymous in a way, because if I'm looking at it from a presenter's dashboard, but I think from the attendees dashboard, it's just your initials that show up. So if you are feeling brave, please put your thoughts in your comments, and let's have a juicy conversation today. Okay, let's have some thoughts about how we can.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.